The Supreme Court delivering a big win for the sovereignty of Native American nations. In a 7-2 decision by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, the court upheld the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, a landmark law that gives Native American families priority in the adoption of Native children. The law was being challenged by a group of white Christian foster parents who alleged it was unconstitutional racial discrimination. ABC News legal contributor Asha Rangappa and senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer join me now for more. Devin, leaders of the nation's largest Native tribes are calling this a major victory for their sovereignty. So how big is this decision and what's the impact?
It's a really big deal, Diane. This was a major case not only for the nation's tribes, but also for families in the foster care system in this country. An emotional and deeply personal case. The law you mentioned, the Indian Child Welfare Act, has been on the books for more than 40 years. Congress responding to that history, that sordid history of the U.S. government separating hundreds of thousands of Native children from their families through the 1960s and placing them in white homes. Congress said that will stop. The priority in Native adoption should be Native families, but a group of parents from Texas and the state of Texas and other states challenged that as discriminatory. And here's how those parents, Chad and Jennifer Burkeen of Texas, put it to me before the case was heard late last year. Take a listen.
We feel like parts of this law hurts Native children. It keeps them in foster care longer than they should.
We're not saying that culture is not important. We do believe culture is important, but it's not the most important thing.
But today, a big setback for that family, Diane. In fact, they just told me a few minutes ago that they are crushed by this decision. More on that in a second. But for now, a big win for the tribes. It means that this law is upheld. It means that those preferences, those priorities and placement will go on. And it also means that tribes who were so concerned about the inability to keep these kids in their communities, in their political system as sovereign nations would be undermined. A 7-2 decision by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who is herself, by the way, an adoptive parent. Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito dissented, said this authority to decide where kids should go, priority should lie with the states, not with the federal government. Diane.
Asha, what do you make of the way this decision came down, 7-2?
Well, given the court's reasoning, I'm not surprised. They basically, this is similar to the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act case that came out last week, that they're essentially deciding to continue the approach that they have had for many years and to not upend this jurisprudence of giving Congress plenary authority in regulating Indian affairs, even in cases of things that are normally in state law, for example, family law. What I do think is surprising here is they did not reach the equal protection issue. They did not reach the racial classification claim that was just mentioned with regard to the adoptive couples. Justice Kavanaugh noted that that's a serious issue, and so that question is left open for another day. And given the court's docket that had so many challenges based on race, racial classifications, it is a little bit surprising that they didn't rule on that, but that remains unresolved.
So, Devin, what comes next?
Well, as Asha was just talking about, this law is not really out of the woods. There could be another challenge on that question of the racial discrimination. She notes that this was not decided on those grounds, and that is true. So perhaps a little bit of a silver lining for the Burkeen family. But the tribes unequivocally at this hour, Diane, are celebrating this decision. In fact, there's a statement that is just out from a number of chiefs of the top largest Native American tribal nations. You see it here. They call it a major victory. Not only for the tribes and their children, but for the future of our culture and heritage, something that I heard over and over again, Diane, in reporting this with the tribes. Their children are their future. If they get separated from the tribes and their families raised in white, non-Native homes, they saw that not only as a cultural diminishment, but also as a political one. Tribes are political entities, and if those kids aren't raised there as members of the tribe, it would diminish their power. And the court today, in that decision from Justice Barrett, really handing a big win to them on that count, Diane.
All right, Asha Rangappa, Devin Dwyer, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.